Yeah, like I had been in for like a year. I was a baby.
I was baby too.
Well, I was never a baby, but I was a porn baby. Mm-hmm. Like, I think we were both grown-ups when we got in. Like, in terms of, like, we'd had normal jobs and gone to college and knew what it was like to show up somewhere on time and have a dress code and HR department and things you could and couldn't say to people. And,
Indeed.
And things that could get you fired, like, you know, sexual assault, doing drugs on the job.
Correct.
You know, other stuff that's, like, standard on a porn set. Mm-hmm. I immediately drove us into a dead end, like I was on like she was on her way to a sex crime. I was like, now that we're here, gang's all here.
Here we are. Ooh, we should stop and use that guy's front yard gym.
I think it's there. I think he wouldn't mind. A couple porn stars. Like, that'd be one for the books. Like, dude, couple porn stars. That's fucking wild, man. Okay, so you were in 2012.
Yep.
And how long were you in?
2012, 2013, 2014. Retired in basically 2015, like January. So 3 years about exactly.
But like, as like a short career, but you were extremely popular.
I didn't realize that I was, though. Like, I knew that I wasn't doing bad. I knew that, like, I was nominated for Best New Starlet.
Why are they? I have the green light, and I don't understand why they're taking right of way. I was very confused by all that.
Everyone's just high?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just assume everyone on the West Coast is high when they're driving.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah, like, I mean, you had a really... you were, like, hugely popular. And then when you went away, people were like, what happened to her? And
I also just, like, disappeared. And I did not tell anybody what was happening. Like, I just fucking disappeared.
And you were one of, like... There are occasionally porn stars that have a little bit of, like, a mystique around them. Like, I'm someone that's, like, incredibly open with my fans. I don't hide anything. I am totally an open book. They know my dog's names, where I'm from, my girlfriends, my boyfriends. They know when I'm on my period. Like, they know everything. I hide nothing. I am so much just who I am. No brand awareness whatsoever, which every manager and agent I've ever had has hated. Like, can you have more brand awareness? For the love of God. Like, can you stop going on Twitter?
The brand.
Yeah, but like, there's like, can you just stop going on Twitter and completely alienating everyone that fucks with you? But you were what, like, then there are occasionally porn stars that are very, like, mysterious. I think,
Are you saying I was mysterious?
Well, you didn't talk about the fact that you were married. You were, like, everything about your life was actually very, I mean, those of us behind the scenes
I talked about being a swinger.
Right. Like, people kind of knew, but, like, not really. So when you disappeared, people were like, I don't know. Because there was no...
There was really no closure nor explanation.
Yeah.
I just ghosted an entire career. And
so do you want to talk about what happened?
Oh, absolutely. Well, so I'll backtrack and say, like, I'm not married anymore. When I left and quit the industry, I also got divorced. And I married my ex when I was 22 or 23.
So a child bride.
Yeah. And he was, like, literally about twice my age. I mean, not quite there, but close to it.
Yeah. Which, when you're in your early 20s, is very sexy, and I don't know why.
I just...
You know? For like, yeah, he's like my daddy. Yeah, it's so sexy. But you never think about... like, what the fuck does he see in me, though?
Like why,
do you know what I mean?
Especially
Yeah,
now
like,
that I'm 31, I can't even stomach the idea, like, I'm assuming I'll get cast in a scene where I'm fucking, like, you know, an 18 or 19-year-old guy at some point.
All the stepsons, having had to be a stepmom this last year, they really amped it up. And I will tell you, I've yet to play the mother of anyone younger than me.
Huh. That's fantastic.
They don't care that the 18-year-old playing your stepson is 36. They don't care.
Doesn't matter.
If you're over 27, guess what? You're the natural mother of, I don't know, some 21-year-old girl. Like, it's so bizarre.
It is fucking bizarre.
At one point, me and Will Pounder were playing the biological parents of Carla Cush, and we were both looking at each other just like, okay, so no one cares, right? We're just gonna... No one gives a shit if this is slightly believable. We're cool. Okay, as long as we're on the same page, good to go, because we all could have gone to prom together. Yeah. But right
Jesus.
But so you were like, if you had to date someone that was 22 at 31, you're like, oh,
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. The youngest I think I could even date would be like 29, like 3 years younger than me. I really don't think I could do younger than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's now that I'm not a young dumb child, I don't understand why someone that much older than me would want to date me, except I do understand because I also now know that the relationship was really bad for me. Like,
yeah,
you know, I don't want to go into every detail, but like, there's a natural power imbalance, especially if you have a much, much older man.
Oh yeah.
With a much younger woman.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and most people that were my age at the time would not really necessarily see that or understand how to deal with it, and that was for sure the case with me. Of course, I thought that I knew everything.
Yeah.
As you do when you're like 23. But yeah, it turns out like after a couple years in the industry and like I loved the work that I was doing, you know, and I was sort of like running the business with my ex. Two things happened. I grew out of that relationship. I was like, I don't want this this just isn't what I want.
Right.
And I was at the same time getting like burned out with the industry. And that's really common. Sex worker burnout happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, you know, and people will take a break and stuff. But for me, I was just like, was also having some shit mental health for a while.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I really didn't ever talk about, like, ever.
Well, and it's hard because this job is so stigmatized. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, if you go in and you're like, I'm feeling depressed or anxious or stressed out, and like, see? Because this sex work is horrible for women. And it's like, I'm like, have you ever gone and talked to any person that works any kind of a manual labor job?
Right.
Like, or it's like this,
anything that
there was these documentaries like After Porn Ends.
I've watched all those.
Like, it's so sad. I'm like, well, go talk to anyone in their late 30s or early 40s in the middle of an economic depression that has no education and no job skills, and you ask them if life turned out the way they thought it would.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, you could have been interviewing coal miners. It wouldn't have mattered. It's like, oh, middle-aged people in the middle of an economic depression that worked in a highly stigmatized field. Like, I don't think that was because they did porn. I think it's really because, like, the call's coming from inside the house. It's like, no, like, it's not that porn fucks us up. It's that you treat us like shit because we do it. Like, you're actually the ones doing the damage, not...
Exactly.
Not the job. It's the other way around.
It's so true. And people don't... It just frustrates the fuck out of me. Especially, like, you know, I'm deciding that I was gonna, like, fully... Because I started doing OnlyFans and Snapchat. So kind of sticking my feet in 6 months ago. Yeah. And then... as things started ramping up and I started realizing, okay, I really miss like fully being back, so I'm gonna start thinking about actually shooting again. And that just snowballed until, you know, I didn't even think I was gonna be going to AVN this year, but now here I am. So I had to have a talk with my parents about, actually, no, one parent, about... That
is a weird couple, girl.
Wanting to...
Like, they kind of...
They look like robots?
Yes!
Like, the way that... Yeah.
I was like, what? What's going on here? Okay, continue. So you had to talk to your parents. You're like...
Odd walk. Yeah, so I had to tell my mom that I'm going back into the porn industry, and she was not jazzed about it, but also it's like, I'm not super young anymore. Like, you know, my parents never accepted it before, you know, which is another reason, honestly, why I left. I, like, didn't talk to my family for 3 years, and that's fucking rough. I'm pretty close. I mean, I have a great family, like, had a great childhood, and that just, like, disappeared from my life. So it was really, really hard. And so, yeah, my parents have never really accepted it or understood it, but I had to tell my mom, like, I'm gonna do this again. I'm going back to this career. And I think she said she's beyond disappointed, and the thing that struck me, because we had a conversation that ended up being actually really good and productive, but she said a couple things that I had needed to, like, call her out on later. One of them was like, why don't you want to do a job where you use your brain?
Right.
And I'm like, dude,
yeah.
this is...
And I understand
so
that
you're a person that loves me unconditionally, yet you just said something that, like, the worst, like, slut-shaming, like, terrible, like, incel type dude on Reddit would say to me.
Yeah. And I think
like, how is this coming from the same, like, and that's the mentality that it just pisses me off, and it's kind of generational.
Are they conservative? Are they religious, conservative, or are they just kind of...
Ish.
Or is it just your mom was a feminist?
She's
like
my mom's a
wave.
very second wave feminist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, how else can they be? Our parents
but not like an evangelical type.
Yeah.
So it's not really coming from a place of religion so much as it's just coming from a place of, like, oh my God, you're degrading yourself.
Yeah.
Like, how could this possibly be empowering?
My mom wasn't really a fan, but then she saw how much I was making, and she was like, I wish I'd known I could charge.
Oh my God.
I was like, well, I mean... But I think that's a part of it, too. I think some of it's changing is because... I was talking to a girl that described her job to her dad as her online business.
Yeah.
And that made it easier for him to understand.
Right.
That what she was doing actually required a lot of savvy and gumption and quite a bit of understanding of market and PR.
Yeah,
and,
it does.
Yeah. You know, that actually you have to wear a lot of hats and you have to be very facile at moving between these very different roles, because you're the CEO, you're the CMO, you're the CFO, like you're everything.
Yeah.
And so I think too it's hard because our parents come from a generation of people that were not their own bosses. Correct. They were not entrepreneurs. They really don't. Yeah. An entrepreneur was the son of someone with a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? Like an entrepreneur was Donald Trump. It was not. Yeah, but I mean that's like an entrepreneur was someone that had to have access to a great deal of capital just to start.
Yeah.
And so, you know, our parents were in a generation where they always worked for someone else. You had set hours that you were on and off the clock. Mm-hmm. And it was like an employee mindset too of like, it was, you know, you did as little work as possible for the most amount of money and the most billable hours. You know, like that was kind of like, and you were sort of scamming the boss. Yeah. You know, it's like the worker was pretty much, you know, in direct conflict with the boss's needs.
All the time.
Yeah. And now we're in this generation because if you're going from like Gen X to millennial, like that kind of swath, because I feel like Gen X gets lost in there, but because Gen X was at the .com boom. So like from Gen X through millennials, we've been living through economic depressions where there's like no safety net. So Correct. We've been forced to be very industrious in figuring out how we're going to make a life for ourselves.
God,
and,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that's like the thing is like, it's why it sucks when people are like, oh, you should do something that requires your brain. It's like, this is fucking exhausting.
This
bitch.
requires more of my brain than like literally any civilian job I've ever had.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So,
There's that, and every time I've taken a break, it's because I'm like, I don't have the energy to be spinning all the plates.
Yeah.
And then I go work a regular job for like 6 months, and I'm like, oh yeah, this fucking sucks. On my worst day doing porn. On my worst day doing porn. Doing a gangbang, and all the talent is people that I didn't fucking pick. And and they're making me play like a fucking like mom of 5 kids that like whatever it is that like I fucking hate. Your 5 you know, like even on that day is still far better than working for someone else.
So much fucking better. Absolutely.
Why did you leave the industry?
I'm gonna say fuck politeness and just talk while I'm chewing.
Yeah.
So it was just mostly it was out of self-preservation. I hit such a deep fucking hole of depression. It was a combination of like being in a relationship that I desperately wanted to fucking get out of. Mm-hmm. Being pretty burned out with porn and like not really knowing how to deal with that or like how to go about taking a break, and like my self-care was just shit and like kind of non-existent. And then not talking to my family for a couple years and having very strained relationships with family members. I have siblings, so them and my parents. Mm-hmm. But all of that culminated in me becoming very, very depressed. And I started seeing a therapist for like the last 6 to 9 months before I officially retired and like moved away from LA. Therapist helped, but it was really bad. Like I was on like lithium, I was on all these medications because I was like definitely close to trying to kill myself.
Right.
Didn't actually try, but
I feel like also I got really suicidal at one point in my late 20s as well. Mm-hmm. I also feel like I realize I need to get back towards signing. I was really suicidal in my late 20s as well, and I think it's something about, there's some people that talk about like the return of Saturn, like astrologically speaking. Then other people like narratologists that have these ideas about, you know, there's certain like narratives, mythologies, and life cycles. Like there's like numbers of years that are just significant, like the 7-year itch.
Okay. Yeah.
The return of Saturn is supposed to be every 28 years. And it's just like when Saturn has made a complete orbit, and like that when people are in there like around 28 to 30, that for a lot of people, it's a really kind of spiritually intense time, you know, because if things are going really well, even better. But if they're not going well, and I think it's because, you know, people say we're adults when we're 18 or 21 or 24. I would argue that probably 28 to 30 is probably the moment when we fully comprehend that it is our responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, that is when we fully comprehend, like, oh, like, this is happening now. Like, this is it. Like, I am an adult, and, like, I'm the one in charge here. And that can either be really empowering or it can be really demoralizing, because if you're not in the place you want to be. So I get that, because I think that's not a porn thing. It's not a mental health thing. It's not a sex work thing. I think that's like a growing up thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because part of the inverse of realizing your power, like I'm an adult, is realizing that you have the power to take it away. Like, I can end this if I want. Do you know what I mean? It's also, so I think part of it too is just a reckoning of like your power in your own life. You know what I mean? That kind of, that you could end it, and why aren't you? Like, why don't you? If you're unhappy, and where is this going, and do you really want to be here? Is this all it's cracked up to be? Because I think, you know, when we're younger, we're just so busy trying to like survive or make it or have dreams, you know, like like we're trying to figure out like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like that's where we're at, you know what I mean, for so long. And then we get into our late 20s and our early 30s, like that's when, you know, that's when we start taking stock of like, is this even worth it?
Yeah.
And will it even be possible for me to like accomplish these dreams that I have? Or
a huge thing for me when I was like hitting that 28 to 30-ish was realizing, like, thinking back on like all the shit that I wanted and thought I was going to do or be when I was like 16. And realizing how many of those things I didn't do, or just didn't, like, not that I failed at them, but that I just didn't want the same things anymore. And that was really weird, because it made me feel like, wait, am I being, like, untrue to myself, or is this just what growth looks like?
Dude, that's such a hard one, because I think a thing that's very hard to let go of is having a moment where you go, oh, that was a shitty dream. That was a shitty ambition. I think because it's, you know, we're so wired to view it as like a selling out or failure or giving up. Like, she wanted to be an actress, but then like, yeah, now she moved back to like Minnesota and she's like married with kids, and like when we're younger and we hear stories like that, it's like we're always so judgmental about like, oh, they couldn't take it.
Right.
And it's like, now when you get older, you're like, or their fucking priorities shifted and they realize that wanting to be a celebrity is a fucking dumb dream. Like, it's really fucking shallow and stupid, you know? And maybe she realized that, like, you know, having children or something was more fulfilling. Like, you know, like being important to people and having a family and feeling connected emotionally to the world around you. Like, maybe she realized that was like a way better fucking dream than wanting to be famous. You know what I mean? But it's hard. It's hard to let go of, you know, to go like, is that something that I really want? Like, was that just, or was, because, you know, we make up these dreams when we're too dumb to fucking know what we're even dreaming about.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. 100%. When I was in high school, I wanted to be like a crust punk anarchist train hopping, like, I don't know, like, I had some weird ideas of what I wanted to do with my life.
Oh yeah.
I just wanted to like work on farms.
I think, you know, I was, well, one thing is,
I wouldn't
like,
be able to do any of that now. I like wouldn't want it or even enjoy it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always knew I wanted to be a writer and a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew that. I didn't know how someone became a stand-up comedian. Like that I didn't know. I thought people just were like born in the doorway. Like they were born in the wings of the stage and then they just appeared there. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have a frame of reference.
Wait, that's not true?
It isn't. Isn't that crazy? You go do open mics and stuff and you fuck up in front of people for years and then you finally get booked in jobs and you do 10-minute bar shows, like 10-minute sets at bar shows for like another few years. And then if you're lucky, you get to like middle for someone in little towns like Duluth, Minnesota.
I love Duluth.
Which is a town I pick on all the time for no reason.
Have you actually been there?
I haven't, but
oh,
I have a story.
Let's go to Duluth
It's
together.
a sexy story too.
In February.
It's sexy.
Okay, what's your sexy story?
So, there was one professor. So, I had this professor. I'll decide later if I bleep out his name. Was so fucking sexy. Girl. And like all the girls were like, oh my God, did you see the new professor? It was like the same year that I got into this program, this graduate program. He was the graduate instructor in like American Studies and Composition. And oh my God, I had such a crush on this guy. Oh, so hot. And we even did an independent study together. I did an independent study with him about American studies and American horror and the Black Dahlia murder and how it became like a media sensation.
Yeah.
And like a study of like how horror movies and the true crime genre are effectively have taken the place of fairy tales and basically trying to terrify women into staying at home and being wives and mothers.
Oh shit! Oh my God.
And but he was like so into it. He's like, yeah. He was just such a cool dude. You know what I mean? Just so sexy though. But anyway, I never forgot him. Every once in a while, I'm like, man, I wonder what happened to that guy. Because he was like fucking smoking hot. He was like way too good looking to be a teacher. And because if you can do anything but teach, you should. And like, I'm just.
Oh my God.
Well, no, because they don't pay you enough. They overwork you. It's not because being a professor is shitty. It's just being a professor is shitty. Like, professors aren't shitty, but being a professor is shitty. You know?
Totally.
It's highly competitive to work in like shitty locations because it's such a saturated job market, you know, and they don't pay well, etc. Anyway, so this was years ago. You know, when I started graduate school, I think I was like 19 or 20, and
baby.
I was a baby. So, like maybe 2 years ago, out of curiosity, right? I like Googled him and I found him on like, it was like the University of like Duluth, right? It was like on there, like he was teaching there and had his teacher. And I was like, this may not be current because it's not like their departments really keep up on that kind of shit. But I emailed him. I was like, hey, this is, you probably don't remember me. This was a long time ago, but we did independent study about the Black Dahlia. Just thinking about you, Googled you, and just wanted to say hi or just like see what you were up to, or kind of like, you know, because that was like a crazy time in that department because that department was imploding when he was there. And he wrote back and he was like, of course I remember you. Like, he's like, you were very memorable,
nice.
Young lady. And
did he use the word young lady?
I think he did. He's a very polite man, you know. He was just like, yeah, that school was pretty crazy. I got a divorce, moved to a couple different universities. My kids are like teenagers now.
Wow.
You know, like he's just kind of like, he's like, everything's cool. And it was something, he's sort of like, I've seen some of your work.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I could really take this somewhere, but I'm going to be a good person. I'm not gonna do this, but constantly I'm like, oh, I should have fucked him. Because I'm a porn star, and that's like the first place it always goes. Like, oh, I should have fucked him. I should have leveraged that into getting laid.
Well, they expect it anyway.
But then I was kind of like, you know what the thing is? I was like, I didn't want to do that because I was like, if it was bad, I would never forget it.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to imagine that it would be like fantastic.
Oh, there's a lot of people that I really want to fuck that I will never fuck, like, because I don't want bad sex. Like, I just don't want it. I'd rather have none than bad.
What's the whole thing about porn is celebrities. Because celebrities want to fuck you all the time.
Yeah.
They are always in your DMs. But yeah, it's like you get a lot of celebrity people who are like, if I wanted to, it's a weird feeling in being a porn star because you're like, I know right now it's like any celebrity, if I wanted to fuck them, I could put the feelers out and they would probably do it.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, so if you want to fuck a celebrity, get into porn. That's the moral of the story.
Have you fucked celebrities?
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. I'm known on this show for, like, my favorite is athletes.
Okay.
Because the most important thing they do during sex is make me feel small.
Aww. Them athletes, though.
Yeah, because they're... I like to feel like you might be...
What kind of athlete? Like, which
football
sport
players,
is the best
football
one?
players, and... Okay, football players always come too fast because they're sort of like the blitzkrieg, you know what I mean? They're the berserkers.
Oh, yeah.
They fuck like they fight. Basketball players, what endurance.
Yeah.
Oh. And they're all tall, so their dicks are very big.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I don't know if I've actually... Well, I haven't fucked a lot of celebrities. A couple.
I haven't fucked like a lot, but compared to the average person, probably 100% more celebrities than the average person.
Yeah, literally 100% more. I like rugby players.
100%. Ooh, girl, yes.
Yes.
I watch rugby players and I'm just like, I used to have a joke about this where
and they wear their little shorts.
And I look at them and you're fucked up when I look at a rugby player and I'm like, oh, he looks like he could fucking kill me. It's so hot.
I know.
Oh, it's so hot. I like to fight when I fuck, right? So, and I'm tall. I mean, I'm 5'9" and like 140 pounds. So it's like, I boxed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, I want to feel feminine. So like, you need to be like 6'7" and a world class Olympic athlete apparently.
Yeah.
To really get me.
There we go. I mean,